When you talk about sports legends, there's one name that just seems to end the conversation before it even starts. In this explainer, we are digging into the story of a guy who many people think is not just the greatest basketball player, but maybe the greatest athlete ever. We're talking about Michael Jordan. So, let's get right to it. The claim is simple, and it is powerful. Michael Jordan is widely called the GOAT, the greatest of all time. But what's that really built on? I mean, it's not just about the flashy dunks you see on highlight reels. No, it's a mix of mind-blowing stats, pure dominance, and a cultural impact that completely changed the game and sports as a whole. Before we dive deep, just look at this list for a second. 6 NBA championships, 5 MVP awards, 14 times an All-Star, 2 Olympic gold medals. I mean, this is the kind of resume most athletes could only dream of having. And for MJ, well, this is just scratching the surface. All right, so the first piece of the puzzle is his absolute, undeniable reign on the basketball court. Seriously, the numbers themselves tell an unbelievable story. This number right here might just be the most important one of his entire career, 6. That's how many championships he won with the Chicago Bulls. He basically defined a dynasty that owned the 1990s, but it's how he won them that's the really crazy part. And think about this for a second. It wasn't just 6 championships. It was 6 trips to the NBA Finals, 6 wins, and 6 Finals MVP awards for himself. He never even lost on the biggest stage, and he was always, without a doubt, the best player out there. That kind of perfection it's literally unheard of. Okay, next up, 10. That's the number of times Michael Jordan led the entire league in scoring. This wasn't just a flash in the pan for a season or two. We're talking about a solid decade of being the most unstoppable scorer in the game, period. And this one is all about his incredible, relentless consistency. 30.1 points per game, that's his career average, which happens to be the highest in the history of the NBA. The key takeaway here is that from the day he stepped on the court to the day he left, nobody scored like him for that long at that level. But here's the thing. Jordan's story isn't just about what happened between the lines on the court. His influence just exploded way beyond the arena, turning him into a true global icon. He became so much more than a basketball player. He became a full-blown phenomenon. It all started with that simple nickname, right? Air Jordan. It was a perfect tribute to his insane jumping ability and those dunks that looked like he was just hanging in the air. But that nickname? It became a logo, then a line of sneakers, and eventually a billion-dollar brand that basically wrote the playbook for how athletes and big companies work together today. And his fame just kept getting bigger and bigger because of these massive cultural moments. Winning that first Olympic gold back in '84, that put him on the world map. Leading the legendary Dream Team in '92, that cemented him as a global superstar. And then, starring in Space Jam in '96? Come on. He totally broke down the wall between sports and Hollywood, becoming this beloved pop culture hero for a whole new generation. And along with Air Jordan, he got another title, his Airness. Now, this wasn't just about dunking. This nickname was earned because of his fierce, almost mythical competitive fire and his legendary knack for coming through in the clutch. When the game was on the line, everybody in the building and watching at home knew exactly who was getting the ball, and they knew what was about to happen. Okay. So let's bring it to today. What about his legacy? The story didn't just stop when he hung up his sneakers for the last time. His influence keeps shaping sports and business, moving from the hardwood court right into the corporate boardroom. It's like his empire has 2 equally powerful halves. On one side, you've got the player, the champion, the MVP, the scoring machine. And on the other side, you've got the icon, the movie star, the sharp businessman, and today, the owner of his own NBA team, the Charlotte Hornets. He reached the top of the mountain in both worlds. And you can't tell his story without talking about his persistence. This is a guy who retired from basketball 3 different times. But that deep, deep love for competition just kept pulling him back. These comebacks aren't just little footnotes. They're proof of his unbelievable, relentless drive. So, is he the GOAT? After looking at the perfect championship record, the scoring titles nobody can touch, the global brand he built, and the business empire that followed, well, the facts really do speak for themselves. The debate's always going to be fun, but Michael Jordan's case is just overwhelming. Maybe the real question isn't if he's the GOAT, but who on earth could possibly have a better argument?